evening. Thanks for viewing this evening. You are viewing the Doty Report on Comprehensive Health, and I am Yolanda. I am the host for this evening and glad to be here on another Tuesday. We thank you once again for tuning in. The Doty Report is a segment of the Georgia Doty organization, an organization that has a very long history of initiating health initiatives, of raising, health awareness, providing the community with resources and services related to healthcare and connecting them with those type of resources and services. Please, viewers, as we have our conversation today, make sure that you call in. The number is on the screen, and answer, get your questions answered. I'm tongue-tied today. It's been a long day. But we thank you, so we are going to get started. Our topic for today is substance abuse. And I'm sure many of you, as myself, have experienced it in one way or another, a family member, in the communities that we live in. We see it. So we're here to talk about it today. We have Mr. Raymond Law, and I want to thank you for being our guest. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being our guest. And we're here to have a conversation. We do question and answers. He is going to educate us. He is going to answer some questions. He is going to provide us with information that is vital to ourselves or maybe even a family member. Mr. Law is a certified alcohol and substance abuse counselor. He's been doing it for many, many, many years, and he currently works for South Landing Recovery, and I'm going to allow him to talk a little bit more about himself and his work in the community, and then we'll get started with asking some questions.
Thank you, Yolanda. My tenure with substance abuse began in 1976, 1977.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I began to work in substance abuse when all treatment was free. Mm-hmm. Things have changed over the years.
I'm sure.
I have worked just about every level of care in substance abuse and recovery,
Okay.
including prison programs,
Okay.
jail programs, residential, outpatient, methadone, and the state's attorney's first offender program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've provided DUI counseling.
Okay.
So I've run the gamut in substance abuse.
Okay.
I believe this was sort of a calling for me
Okay.
because I've done it for so many years.
Right.
And the more I do it, the more informed I become about other drugs, other trends in the community, and help for people. So I've done everything from substance abuse counseling to interventions with families.
Okay. Okay. So we are saying you are our expert. For
I'm
our,
going to do the best I can.
we know you're gonna do the best you can. But I don't know that we sit as family or even as a community and just talk about. Even though substance abuse is very, it exists, it's visible in our community, and we want you to move over a little bit. Very visual in our community, but I don't know that we sit and have conversations or we take the time to really understand, what substance abuse is. So that's my first question. What exactly is considered substance abuse? Is it something that if I just do it once a day, is that considered abuse, or so what is it? Let's share with our viewers.
No, actually, Yolanda, people casually use.
Okay.
People casually drink. It depends on who you ask. But it's always been rumored that if you use certain drugs one time, then you're addicted to that particular drug.
Okay.
Everyone that uses does not become addicted.
Okay.
People who have experienced unmanageability, who have experienced withdrawal symptoms, who have experienced loss of employment, issues with family, you don't really have to ask if they have a problem or not. They know they have a problem. but they're the last person to admit.
That they
So
have
the
a-
family is usually the one that's left with trying to assist the person in getting help.
Okay.
There are drugs that will create withdrawal. Most of those are the opiates that we see today.
Okay.
The heroin, the pain pills, a lot of the things that we see in the street today.
Okay.
Those kinds of substances can develop into addiction.
Okay. Okay.
Alcoholism
Okay.
develops into addiction.
Okay. Yeah, it does. I see we have a caller already, so we're going to take the call. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What's your question?
I'd like to yes, I'd like to ask if, in fact, yes, I'd like to ask if cannabis that is based on medicinal purposes can become an addiction.
That's a very good question, sir. Bear in mind that it does not make a difference why you use the substance. If you use it, there is a possibility that you can become addicted to it. However, today, as we have discovered, there are lots of people who need to use marijuana for medical purposes. The problem becomes, are you using it for the medical purposes, or are you abusing it because it was prescribed for you? And that's where you have to be aware of whether or not you cross the line. Good.
Okay. Good question, viewer. Thank you for that question. So, when I hear substance abuse, and that topic comes up, and maybe it's my age, or maybe it's because I grew up in what was known as South Central Los Angeles, the first thing that comes to mind for me is crack cocaine, of course. In many minority communities, that's the first thing we think about. My question, and I'm thinking about like the 80s, you know, what is the number one drug today?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Oh, really?
Alcohol is the number one drug.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because it's legal, sociably acceptable, it's easy to obtain, and people don't readily admit that they have a drinking problem.
Right.
You have all kinds of alcoholics.
Okay.
You have the weekend alcoholic. You have the holiday alcoholic.
Wow.
You have the person
Wow.
who, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And because of that, you also have the beer alcoholic.
Okay.
They only drink beer.
Wow.
So you have a number of people who abuse alcohol for years. And then there's that person that they call the functioning alcoholic that goes to work every day, takes care of all of the responsibilities, does everything they're supposed to do until something catastrophic happens like a DUI.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
get caught in Illinois today for driving under the influence, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Okay.
And it's going to cost you money on both ends because insurance companies don't pay for DUI counseling and services. They don't pay for the assessment. You have to pay for all of that out of your pocket. Then after you're done with all of that and the court costs and all of those things, then you have to go and get the high-risk insurance if you want to drive again. And that's going to be determined by whether or not it's your first DUI,
Right.
your second DUI, or your third DUI.
Right.
You can get incarcerated for multiple DUIs.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought alcohol. So that's the number one drug
Yeah.
today.
Well, often people think that it's cocaine
Yeah. So
because cocaine
yeah.
is so widely abused. And take, for example, there are different forms of cocaine. There's powder cocaine, there's rock cocaine, there's crack cocaine. So there's different kinds of cocaine. But the cocaine that's being abused the most in the communities that we're familiar with is, of course, the crack cocaine.
Right. Right.
And the crack cocaine is mixed with all kinds of additives
Right.
to give it a boost. And what happens is once a person starts to abusing crack cocaine, they have a hard time stopping unless they go get help.
Okay.
Now, there's no physical withdrawal symptoms from cocaine, but there is that compulsion that takes place within a person.
Okay.
So you see that compulsion to constantly have it all the time, more and
Okay.
more and more.
Okay. So is there a hospital treatment for the abuse of cocaine?
There was a time when there were hospital-based programs that were cocaine specific. Those days are gone.
Okay.
Insurance companies say there's no physical withdrawal symptoms, so there's no medical necessity to put a person in the hospital for cocaine.
So how are those
Well,
being helped?
outpatient programs,
Okay.
residential programs, inpatient programs. There are lots of treatment services that can assist a person on cocaine.
Okay.
Our issue today is the opiates,
Okay.
the heroin.
Okay. So what is heroin?
Heroin is a derivative of the poppy seed, and it's processed into, so you take this plant that's processed into a powder
Okay.
or liquid and then a powder, thus becomes the heroin. So it's abused, either you can snort it, you can shoot it intravenously, which is what a lot of people do, and it has become very, very popular. Now, what we're faced with today, this is one of the drug trends in the street. The heroin is being mixed with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a painkiller.
Okay.
So you're mixing an opiate with a painkiller, and people are overdosing.
Okay.
So you hear all of these stories about younger people who have overdosed on this heroin that's laced with fentanyl, and it's kind of all over the country.
Okay.
It's as we would say, out of control.
Right.
It's termed as an epidemic
Okay.
in the media,
Right.
and it really is.
Wow.
Because you have young people as well as older people who are addicted to heroin. Now let's go back for a moment, because you also have the pain pills that people have become addicted to. And the pain pills were probably given to a person by prescription.
Right. So I was going to ask that because
Yeah.
I know someone who was addicted to pain pills, and you know, for someone who don't really understand, don't have the information about it, you're like, how you get addicted to pain pill? You know,
Yeah.
so what happens?
Well, it's an opiate. And so it depresses the central nervous system.
Okay.
And typically what happens is you require more to produce the same effect. And a person will look up in a short period of time and they have began to use all of the medication that the physician prescribed, but they did not use it as it was prescribed.
Okay.
They abused it. In other words, he said, take one, you took five. And so you
Right.
you find yourself.
I guess it's no different than me supposed to take only one Tylenol and I take 2, 3, 4, 5, but in this case,
Yeah.
it's very, very different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens is once the physician stops writing their scripts, the prescriptions for people to get whatever the pain pill is, then they start drug seeking. So they began to go to emergency rooms, they go to different hospitals, and so they take that route to try to get pain medication, and then eventually they turn to the street and they purchase illicit pills, and
Okay.
then go from the illicit pills to the heroin,
Okay.
which is what we're seeing today.
Wow, 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 wow. You are tuning in to the Doty Report on Comprehensive Health, and we have another caller, so we're going to take the call. Caller, are you there?
Good evening. Yes, I am. How are you?
Good, how are
Hi.
you? You have a question?
Very well, I do. My question is about gateway or so-called gateway drugs. I know a lot of people use a lot of substances, and, you know, like one of my favorite substances is milk. But, you know, I drink milk a lot, but it doesn't turn me into some milk addict. Can you talk to me about gateway substances, that concept? Because I think it's a little faulted, but I'll get off the phone and let you respond. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you review any recovering person, the first thing they would tell you that they used before anything else was one of two things.
Okay.
They either used marijuana or they drank alcohol,
Okay.
or they did a combination of both.
Right.
Marijuana has always been termed as the gateway drug to addiction. Marijuana has always been one of those kind of drugs where a person does not believe you can become addicted to it,
Right.
especially given what we're seeing now with the legalization in some states and
Right.
people using it for medical purposes and that kind
Right.
of thing. As a treatment professional, I would encourage people that if it's not for medical reasons, to not use it.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. If you talk to any young person that abuses marijuana every day, this is what they'll tell you. When they get out of the bed in the morning, they're rolling what's called a blunt,
Right. Right.
okay? Then, partially through their day, before they can eat any food,
They need another.
they smoke another blunt to build their appetite just to eat lunch. And possibly smoke more throughout the early evening until it's time to eat again.
Okay.
And then before they go to bed, they need another one. Ask, can you stop doing that whenever you want to? And they're going to say, of course.
So why do they think it's not addictive? What's the difference that
Well,
most people think?
because the information's not out there.
Okay.
You have to go where you can get the information, and it's not, people aren't walking around with it on their forehead.
Right.
You have to go and seek the information.
Right.
A lot of community organizations provide the information. I do a lot of speaking, and so myself and a lot of my colleagues, we inform as many people as we possibly can about substances and substances of abuse and the myths that are out there.
Okay.
And so as many people as you find that are in agreement with marijuana being okay, you find equally as many people that'll say it's harmful.
Okay, it looks like we have another caller. So, caller, what's your question?
Hi, just a follow-up. Isn't it recent science that shows that it's not actually a substance that's addictive, it's more of the personality and the person that's involved, they exhibit addictive behaviors, not so much as a substance, so to speak. And, I got to say, I'm not really sure I'm following or even agreeing with the whole last thing about need to get up and go to sleep and all that stuff, because I don't think that's actually true. But, my mileage may vary, but I'll get off and let you answer. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. And in response to the last part, the information that I'm sharing with you is based on assessments that we've done with people seeking help, and they give information about their patterns of usage regardless of what the drug is. They'll tell you their pattern of usage. The other thing is that you'll find that people who research the brain, a person's physiological makeup and all of that will say to you that a person's physical makeup, their physiological makeup, will determine the primary drug of choice that they choose to use. So you will either choose a depressant or a stimulant or a speed, and in some cases hallucinogen, which is what marijuana is. It's a mild hallucinogen.
Okay. We got another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, hi. I wanted to ask your expert something I read recently about a link between marijuana and schizophrenia. And I wanted to know if, in his professional experience, he had seen that, or if he had found that to be true, or if such a link is, in fact, conclusive.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard anything to support that. What I have heard is that people who choose to use marijuana that's man-made and synthetic, which is some of the terms that you're hearing in the street, like dro and loud and those kinds of things, they are mixed with PCP, which is an hallucinogen, and that will affect the person's mood.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, you are watching the Doty report on comprehensive health, and we are talking about substance abuse. We have Mr. Raymond Law, who have been in this field for a very long time, and he's here giving us information and answering the questions. And we have a hotline, which is a good thing because that means people want the information.
That's right. That's
We
right.
have another caller. Caller, are you there? No, caller hung up. Okay. So we're gonna move on. So you are giving some great information. I love that we know that people are watching, and they want to have the right information. What would you or advice would you give to
Yes, sir.
caller coming back? Okay, caller, are you there?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
What's your question?
My question is, I heard the gentleman speaking earlier this evening about a person who has gotten addicted because of prescription drugs and then gone to the street. I do know someone like that. How do you help them face the fact that they have an addiction? Are there some steps you can take with a person like that?
Yes. What people do today, especially loved ones and family members, they develop what's called a family intervention. And they do that with the assistance of a substance abuse professional or physician. And the family, the physician, or the professional substance abuse person will assist them in setting up the intervention, explaining to them how they are affected by what the user is doing to themselves and to the family. And then the goal, once the intervention is completed, is to get that person to get help that day or the following day.
Okay. So
Okay.
that was what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a family who have a loved one that they clearly have a problem? So you saying an intervention?
Yeah, and once again, the family intervention is very helpful. Excuse me, the individual has to want help.
Right.
Otherwise, they won't get it. You'll have to wait until they're ready to receive whatever the help is. They just won't do it. People stay in denial about the disease of addiction for years
Right.
before they seek help.
Right. So what so for someone that was had a substance abuse problem from age 20 to 40 and finally, recovered, are there still health risks because of having that addiction for so long? Like, do they still have to worry about their heart or, their kidney or anything that they need to be concerned about, even though, they are now recovered?
First of all, there's no such thing as recovered.
Okay.
People are still in recovery.
Okay.
And the suggestion is that you can recover, but you never get well, so to speak. So there is no magic pill. In other words, you have to work at it.
Right.
There are some suggestions that are made for people, and one of those are support groups.
Okay.
The other one is removing yourself from the environment that contributed to your usage in the beginning.
Right.
And then began to fill all of those gaps that you removed with the drug use. You start doing that with positive things.
Okay.
You start working out, or if you got a hobby, or if you got some kind of sport activity that you like, whatever it is, you began to do something to fill up that gap.
Okay.
Drug and alcohol use is very, very time consuming. When you consider the amount of money that it takes for people to use whatever it is they're using every day, including drinking, it costs money.
Right.
So where do you get the money if you're no longer employed and you don't have revenue? You have to do something. So once all of that stopped, say for instance a person does that for 10 years, 15 years, now you got to make some lifestyle changes.
Right.
Nothing is going to change unless you choose to work on your thinking, your attitude, and your behavior.
Okay.
If you don't choose to do that, then you'll probably repeat the same behavior over again.
Okay. So where are some oh, we have another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I would like to know about recreational marijuana, not the kind you smoke, but the kind you eat with food. There are cookbooks that have come out in Seattle, and it seems to me, and other places, and it seems to me very much like wine was 30 years ago when you had the proper wine with the proper dish and so forth. What is your opinion of that?
Right. That's a good question. I'm smiling because I
Yeah.
hear people talk about these cookies.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, but still, once again, you never know if it'll become problematic or not if you
Well,
use it.
that's so what?
Yeah,
I mean, that's like taking your first time. I mean, I understand the problems of alcohol, but we haven't prohibited. You know, it's not prohibition. And many people drink and enjoy good wine. Marijuana tends to enhance the taste of food, especially certain kinds. Why would you reject that?
Thank you, caller, for calling in. That is definitely a good question. Good
Yeah,
point. We
and
are
it-
going to let Mr. Law wrap up.
yeah.
Give us some last
I
words.
actually, believe it or not, I am at a loss for words. I have never heard that question before, that
That's all
marijuana
right.
is used in food.
That you're
I've
going to hear
heard
more and
it
more.
used in brownies, but not that it enhances food.
This is, this is very upper middle class and very fashionable, and it's not being smoked. It's being eaten as candy.
Okay.
Okay. And there are very flavors and, all the rest, just like wine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. So,
You're
what are
welcome.
some last words that you could give the viewers
Well, I would like
about this topic?
to say that seeking help, the company the program that I work for, Soft Landing, provides a medication-assisted treatment for opioid addiction and alcohol. And we can assist people with a comprehensive approach to an outpatient service where a person can continue to work or function being on this program.
Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank all of our viewers for watching. Again, this is the Doty Report on Comprehensive Health. This has been a very informational. We're gonna have to have you back. 'Cause,
Okay.
we had I'm sure we have a whole bunch more folks out there that want to call in. Again, thank
That's
you. We will be back next Tuesday. So meet us here, 6 o'clock next Tuesday. The Doty Report on Comprehensive Health. I have to give kudos to our president, founder, and CEO, Mr. Don Doty. Thank you and have a good evening.